Welcome back. I'm Eliott Rodriguez. By now we know that Florida's unemployment system failed miserably when it came to helping thousands of Floridians left without a paycheck by the coronavirus. Governor DeSantis responded by pumping more resources into the system and replacing the director of the Department of Economic Opportunity. But this week we learned that Florida lawmakers got more calls about the unemployment mess than any other issue in recent memory. Every single member of the legislature was contacted by constituents who could not maneuver the system. Leading the effort to help the newly unemployed is Miami-Dade State Senator Jason Pizzo, who told me he had to dig deep into his own pockets to help unemployed Floridians. Senator Pizzo, how many complaints have you gotten from constituents about the Florida unemployment compensation system, and what's the most common complaint?
Well, we've gotten thousands of complaints, and we get them daily, usually from the same people as well. But we try to call and aggregate as many individual and unique cases as we can to pass off to DEO. So I think we're north of 20,000 right now that we've individually or uniquely touched, either receiving their information and conveying it to DEO, or hundreds of those people that we've received that we've also tried to help them through some basic sort of understanding of the website as well. So not every single one that reached out to us did we send off to DEO. A lot of the people we were able to help with just a couple quick fixes or issues that they had with their account.
Do you believe the system was intentionally designed to fail?
So this is going to come out over the next several months when we have, I believe, a panel or committee in the Senate and in the House in Florida. I think is going to be formed to investigate this. The governor has said, listen, the system is a jalopy, and he tasked the Inspector General to investigate. But I think we're going to get into more sort of more gotcha moments, I think, on a Senate committee coming up. And the reason why I say that is because I'm privy to some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes that we haven't been very public about, because we've been trying to narrow it down to what's helpful to constituents, what's going to get them the relief the fastest. And that sort of also ties into, I haven't been taking pot shots or huge criticisms against individuals in particular that I think maybe have been responsible, or their staff may have been responsible. But when you ask me the simple question, was it designed to fail? The technology behind it, we got what we paid for. And we paid for a system that was not designed to accommodate a state at the time in 2012 of 20 million, and certainly not today nearing 22 million.
What are the stories that touched you the most? Because this was money that people need to survive this pandemic.
Tomorrow will be a woman who I'll refer to as Natalie. She's a single mom. She has cancer, and she called and got a hold of me. You know, we answer the phone, we answer emails and messages about a month and a half ago. And I had seen, you know, she had shown me snapshots. Remember, I want to be clear, we can't directly access anyone's account.
Right.
So I don't have access to it. That's under the governor and the executive branch. We begged and pleaded to be able to do it. We'd take training, do whatever, sign releases, but we weren't able to. So the best that we do is I receive someone's information, and then I push and nudge and sometimes yell, beg, and plead with DEO, please get on this case. And I had one particular case where, as I was telling you about a month and a half ago, with a young single mom who has cancer. And she's like, Senator, I have a chemo appointment tomorrow. What do I do? And she said that out of frustration, not asking for anything. And so I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to pay for your chemo appointment and the medicine that you have to pick up afterwards. And I'm going to simultaneously, I'm going to be sending a text message that she sent to me. I sent it right to the governor's chief of staff and legislative affairs director. And I'm like, get on this. A couple days later, a mom, Deborah, walked into oncoming traffic at nighttime and posted the next morning early on Facebook that unfortunately cars and trucks veered away from her. So we got Deborah, again, I had to bring that over to the governor's office and say, look at this one. Look at this. This is where we are. This is how desperate Floridians are. And her case was taken care of. Just last week with the family in Lake Mary that I told you about, after speaking to them and taking their text message, I said, is it okay if I share this? She said, yes. Took her name out. I put it up on Twitter because I know the governor's office and state agency people, they follow me and they look to see what we're posting, what we're talking about. I posted it. I said, we need to do better. About an hour later, realizing that they were really desperate, needed help, I called the extended stay in Lake Mary, gave them my credit card, and did the authorization to take care of their week there so at least they could breathe and go to sleep. I posted my credit card authorization on Twitter with that text message. Sure enough, the new spokesperson for the governor's office said, Senator, please contact our office. We'd like to help this family. They got their money in 24 hours.
We're more than 6 months into this pandemic. Has the system improved? If people go on there right now, how long does it take for them to get the unemployment compensation that they're rightfully entitled to, right?
So the largest majority of people have actually gotten some, have had some success, so to speak, or have had some progress. And what I mean by that is people that were completely locked out, or they couldn't access their account, or couldn't get through the first page, or the system would crash. You know, everybody's gotten their info in, I will say that, okay? So everybody's been able to, you know, attendance has been taken on the number of people. Now, still staggering. Remember, we're in a state with almost 22 million people, Elliott, right? So, you know, when you say 10% of a state, you're talking about 2 million. We're talking about 1%. You're talking about 200,000. So, you know, even just like when the governor was saying things like, oh, 90% have been paid or 95% have been paid. Well, if you have 1.5 million people applying or 1.2 million applying, and you're only servicing 90%, this isn't a baseball batting average, right? And each individual person is a Floridian, a father, a mother, a sister, a brother, somebody that's responsible for bills and obligations. You would be right to think or to suspect that after a while that people will just give up. People will be able to go back to work. And if you say, look over here, we're reopening, everything's great, and revenue starts coming in, remember, these people don't have 10 hours a day to wait on hold anymore because they're working.
Well, that makes it more feasible that people think that this was designed so that people would give up and it would show lower numbers of people on unemployment in Florida.
So let me just, in all fairness, I'm not happy with anyone's performance as far as an agency, a staff, and administration, okay? And I'm a Democrat, but so I may get some ribbing from this from my party. This website is not Governor DeSantis's fault. Okay, he didn't build the site, he didn't contract, he didn't ask for it, whatever. But the execution or finding a solution or finding an alternative, okay, in the short term, everybody gave it some pause. He pushed Ken Lawson from DEO aside, brought in Secretary Satter from another agency. And actually the pace of payments were really good. Did about 177,000 the first weekend, and everything was going better. If we kept that pace, we would have been fine. Again, I don't blame DeSantis for the website. But after a while, as time passes, it's like, yes, we all know it's wrong. And it became ad nauseum. He would say it was a jalopy. It was designed to fail. It's terrible. Great. But now you're the governor. What are you going to do about it? Candidly, Rick Scott has some weird contempt for people that need help. You know, he talks about in campaigns on coming from very humble beginnings and even in project housing. But then to make statements early on about how people are living lavish lifestyles on unemployment.
Well, Governor Scott was even against the $600. He thought
Sure.
$600 was too much to pay people because it would keep people from working. What do you say to that argument?
I say that the irony, the tragic irony for people, that he's saying that coming from the state that pays one of the lowest in the country. What do I mean by that? Montana, okay, not exactly a thriving areas of the, you know, metropolis like Miami or Tampa or Jacksonville or Orlando. Montana pays $508 a week. So if you want to make the argument for state unemployment, so if you want to make the argument, listen, in Washington state, you can get up to $844 a week. In New York is over $500 a week. But in a place like Montana or Washington state, where you can rent a place, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, probably for $600-700 a month and live pretty well. In Florida, the average rent is $1,181.
Well, I'm out of time, but I want to ask you, do you think there will be voter outrage over this situation?
I really hope voters don't have a short-term memory. And really, this isn't partisan, Elliott. An equal number of Republicans and Democrats have discovered an unfair surprise that when they've never asked for anything in their life, they've worked hard, they've done what they're supposed to do, their government has failed them. Okay, and I really hope they don't have short-term memories. And whoever you love, whoever you vote for, whoever you're interested in, get a commitment out of them that this system and this thing will not happen again the way it did.
All right, State Senator Jason Pizzo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Elliott.
Last week, Florida began paying $300 in federal unemployment benefits in addition to state unemployment money, which is capped at $275 a week, one of the lowest amounts in the nation. Up next, 25 years after the abduction and murder of Jimmy Rice, I speak to Jimmy's father, Don, about the organization he and his wife, Claudine, created to help find missing children. The legacy of Jimmy Rice when we come back.